Breaking overnight, members of the National Guard now carrying weapons on patrol in Washington, D.C. The move marking a major escalation in President Trump's federal takeover of policing in the nation's capital. And now he is threatening to deploy the troops to more American cities and states run by Democrats, including Baltimore, despite statistics from the mayor's office showing a 17% drop in violent crime from last year. The president has now fired back at Governor Wes Moore of Maryland, who invited him to Baltimore for a public safety walk. Trump responded by saying Moore needed to clean up the city's, quote, crime disaster before he would go for a walk there. The president also threatened to withhold funds to replace Baltimore's collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge. And the president already said Chicago will be the next city he would target for a federal deployment. Two officials have told CNN the Trump administration has been making plans to send the National Guard there for weeks. Police there have reported a 23% drop in violent crime from last year. Let's get right to CNN's Elena Treen at the White House for what appears to be, we're on the cusp of an expansion here.
Absolutely. And part of this, John, is the Trump administration is loving what they're seeing happening in Washington, D.C. They are the images of the National Guard troops in the city, of the federal agents from ATF, DEA, FBI, the list goes on, deployed throughout the city to help with this. Even though we're seeing, we have seen, and we should note, since August 12th, about 2 weeks ago, when the president first issued this as being a national emergency, or a citywide emergency, I should say, and ordered these troops to be mobilized in D.C., there has been a moderate drop in crime. But one of the biggest things we've actually seen as a result of some of these actions has been widespread immigration raids, and really a real significant ramp up in some of the deportations we have seen in this city. But to get to what he's ordered and what we've seen now with the National Guard troops. So now we've seen them beginning to carry weapons. Like, we should note, it's unclear how many of them are actually carrying weapons at this point and how long this is going to continue. But this is a significant escalation from when the president first ordered this emergency in the city. At first, we had heard the Defense Department say that they were not going to be armed, that they are not going to be carrying out arrests. Now we're, of course, seeing them, a lot of them starting yesterday, having their sidearms with them as part of what this administration, this White House is saying being a peacekeeping mission, really trying to still allow some of the other federal agents to do the work. But this all comes after we also saw Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, order this last week, order that national troops could be carrying this weapons. And I would note as well, it's not just the D.C. National Guard that is currently in Washington, D.C. There's also more than 1,900 troops from the National Guards in West Virginia, South Carolina, Mississippi, Ohio, Louisiana, and Tennessee, who were called upon to help with this mission that the Trump administration has been rolling out.
And what are the plans going forward, perhaps, for other cities in other states that, just happen to have Democratic governors?
Right. I mean, it's very clear that the cities that the president is looking at targeting next all are Democratic-run cities. And look, this comes as you said it, but we have some reporting that the Trump administration had been planning for weeks now to mobilize troops to Chicago. That's really where the president has his sights set next. I actually asked him about this in the Oval Office on Friday because he brought this up. And I said, are there concrete steps that you are taking at this moment to have troops be sent there? Listen to what he told me. You said Chicago might be next. Are you making, have there been concrete steps that the administration is taking to do that, or what are other cities as well?
I haven't spoken to them. He's grossly incompetent. I haven't spoken to the mayor. No, when we're ready, we'll go in and we'll straighten out Chicago, just like we did D.C.
So as you heard him say there, that they haven't made concrete steps yet. He hadn't talked to Chicago's mayor yet about this, though he went on to criticize him, but that when they're ready, they'll be sending them. He also brought up New York as a potential other city. And as you mentioned, John, keep an eye on Baltimore, because we did see the president and Maryland's Governor Wes Moore trade a lot of barbs back and forth yesterday about all of this. It's very clear, though, I think the bottom line here, of course, is that the president likes what he is doing in Washington. He has said it could be a model for other Democratic cities, and now we are learning that that's exactly what they are planning to do.
Elena Treen at the White House this morning. Elena, thank you very much. Omar?
Well, John, let's talk about Chicago, because Illinois' Attorney General says the state is going to prepare a legal challenge if President Trump follows through on plans to send the National Guard to Chicago. Now, the president's push comes as Chicago city leaders say there has been a significant drop in crime in the city. Just last month, for example, Chicago police say homicides dropped 35% and shootings dropped 26% compared to the same time last year. I want to bring in CNN's Whitney Wild in Chicago. So, Whitney, how is the city and how are city leaders responding to this possibility?
Omar, given the context that they believe that Chicago represents a success story and the ability to bring down crime, they are shocked but not surprised. I mean, especially because Attorney General Pam Bondi has made clear that cities and states with these so-called sanctuary policies, which limit local law enforcement from working with federal agents to enforce immigration policies, would be a target for the National Guard. Again, shock but not surprise here in Illinois. As we know, Omar, and as we've previously reported, this plan has been, in the works for weeks to send the National Guard to Chicago. It is not clear how many troops are coming here. It is not clear when, but leaders here are firing back immediately. Governor J.B. Pritzker said plainly there is no emergency that would warrant this. The Illinois Attorney General says plainly they will fight this in court. Here's more from the city's mayor, Brandon Johnson.
What he is proposing at this point would be the most flagrant violation of our Constitution in the 21st century. The city of Chicago does not need a military occupation. That's not what we need. In fact, we've been very clear about what we need. We need to invest in people to ensure that we can build safe and affordable communities.
The Illinois Attorney General stressed that they welcome partnerships with federal law enforcement, but they are opposed to any deployment of the National Guard. And he said that the idea that the National Guard would be deployed here without any communication, any partnership with local leaders here represents authoritarianism. So very strong words from leaders here. Again, this is a Democratic-led state. It is a Democratic-led city. So no surprise that they are firing back as aggressively as they are, Omar. Finally, we reached out to the Pentagon. They had no comment. And then, Omar, I'll leave you with this. As Elena brought up, there were many states who allowed their National Guards to be deployed in Washington, D.C. The dynamics there, as you know, are very different. And so the question here is this going to look more like Washington, D.C., or is this going to look more like L.A.? And the read from our sources, our great reporters in Washington who've been reporting this out, is that this is going to look a lot more like the National Guard deployment in L.A. But the question is whether or not these surrounding states, like, let's say, Missouri, Indiana, Republican-led states, can utilize their National Guard and send them into a non-consenting state like Illinois. That is the big question here. We expect to learn more about this as the day unfolds, Omar.
All right, I know you'll be on top of it. Whitney Wild, really appreciate the reporting.